channel.
Hey, you know what time it is.
What time is it, man?
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of The Beatdown, the segment and channel where two worlds collide. I'm your host, Class, is my co-host.
Mr. J, how's it going, guys? We would like to remind you, if you like these videos or our content, go in the section below. Always subscribe so you get all of our latest videos. Like, comment, and always share.
Yeah. And without further ado, well, I've recently looked into the origin stories of Sinister Six, and I realized it was an interesting comic concept where Spider-Man had to face each individual Sinister Six character before he got to face the main one, which happens to be Dr. Oct. And I thought to myself, what if the same concept was made for our DC character, Mr. Blue Beetle himself? So I said, why not do this matchup? So I will be representing today DC Comics' own Blue Beetle. We usually have like origin stories and all that stuff, but I obviously have done the origin stories a few times about the Blue Beetle. You can watch my previous episodes with Iron Man, Venom, Spider-Man. There was like a multiple amount of episodes we've done together with them, so you can watch those episodes. The origin stories is there, and I even got corrected by it and had to edit a little bit on that. But either way, I decided I'm going to do Blue Beetle in a kind of a one-on-one fight with each individual character, just like it happened in the comics with Spider-Man. So it's going to start like how it did in the comics, where it started with Electro and it finishes with Dr. Octavius. Okay. All right, so let's start off with Electro versus Blue Beetle. Now, I'm going to start off individually with them. Blue Beetle and Electro, it's an interesting concept because obviously Electro is one of the most powerful characters. They don't give him a lot of credit than they do as much in the comics. In the movies, he was alright, but in the comics, dude's bad to the bone. But regardless, put him to the side for a moment. Let's talk about the abilities and how Blue Beetle will be able to beat Electro. Here are the ideas. One, he can throw him in an ocean. Electro's counteract his weakness is like a lot of water. It has to be a tremendous amount of water. It can't be a short amount of water. It has to be a lot of water. So if you throw him in the ocean, game over. Another thing is throw him into the vacuum of space. Electro is powerful, but he is also human, so he still relies on oxygen and all that good stuff. Another thing, Blue Beetle can actually fly him into a planet where it doesn't have any electrical magnetic fields or anything that he could use his powers against. There's that possibility. Another thing is Blue Beetle can counteract Electro's powers because his AI is capable of deflecting, I guess, any kind of base power when he's learning and educating himself about it, including Electro's power. So he can counteract Electro's abilities and maybe hit him back with it, or maybe take the power away from him. Either way, Blue Beetle has Electro's number. Bam! He's out of the equation. Moving on to the next round would be Blue Beetle versus Kraven. Okay, Blue Beetle versus Kraven. Now, you can make the argument that Blue Beetle's scarab wouldn't harm an animal. So maybe Kraven throws a gorilla or a rhino at him, and Blue Beetle doesn't really do harm to it because Blue Beetle's scarab isn't known to harm anything of living, as long it doesn't like humans, but it doesn't mind plant-based things and other based things. So I do believe that in a situation like that, he could probably get the Blue Beetle's scarab not to fight him. There could be that possibility, or the scarab would come up with an idea and put the animals to sleep with a trank or some kind of smoke, knock them out, and now it's just Kraven versus the Blue Beetle. Now, Blue Beetle's AI has an ability of learning how your counter moves and your fighting technique. So even if Kraven comes out with some brute strength or kind of fighting him fist to fist, eventually that's going to not play in his favor because Blue Beetle's AI is going to learn it, and then he's going to counter every technique that he can do, beat him to the ground with a bare fist fight with his suit, and it's game over. He can shift his body into a club if you wanted to, or a hammer, and bam, knock Craven on that way. It's game over. At some point, Craven's strong, but somebody AI that can learn your moves and find your weaknesses at some point is going to put you down for the count. At the end of that, though, all that nonsense. So next character is Mysterio versus Blue Beetle. All right, so right off the bat, this is not really going to be much of an argument to be made. Mysterio is an intelligent character. He's a stun man. He created his own illusions. That's all bits and gravy. The Blue Beetle doesn't need a spider sense. He just needs to have one of the more superior tech. And an alien tech that has conquered planets or destroyed planets by learning about the planet and ruining it entirely in a matter of moments. I have to say, Mysterio can't probably comprehend or even be able to trick the Blue Beetle's Scarab into believing the illusion. So even if Mysterio decided to make himself huge or create some kind of smoke and mirrors, it doesn't matter because Blue Beetle's suit will figure it out. Immediately just shoot Mysterio with a nice blast and bam, game over for Mysterio. And yeah, now Blue Beetle has to move on to the next round against the Sandman. Sandman's probably one of the toughest characters to beat because obviously he can grow into a huge size, throw big, huge swings at him. But Blue Beetle's shield is very protective. He has a force field that he can use on himself. He has his own armor to help him when he gets attacked by Sandman. And another thing is that Blue Beetle, all he needs is extreme amount of heat to really put Sandman down for the count. So if he just provides and conducts enough heat all over Sandman's body, eventually he can just shatter Sandman that way and just move on to the next round with Blue Beetle versus the Vulture. Matter of fact, I don't even really think I need to look into my notes for this one because this is pretty obvious. The Vulture isn't known for a lot of things. I mean, he's not like incredibly like unbeatable. He's been beaten before. The only thing he can do is fly, use his claws. So Blue Beetle will blast, use his AI, fly to it, throw him into anything, choke him down, hit him with anything, a gray gun. It doesn't really matter. Blue Beetle has too many weapons on him to put Vulture down. So boom, Vulture's already eliminated. Like I don't really need to make too much of an argument when it comes to Vulture because Vulture only has his wings ability and his claws, and that's not enough to put someone like Blue Beetle's high-tech armor and weaponry down for the count. Now we're down to Doc Ock versus the Blue Beetle. So Doc Ock versus Blue Beetle. Now, don't get me. Doc Ock is smart, and his weaponry is impressive. He's got like 6 arms, so to back him up. Plus, his intelligence is phenomenal. The guy is no doubt, especially if he knows who he's dealing with, he's gonna have your number. But here are a couple things I'll add for Blue Beetle's side. Is that Blue Beetle doesn't just have his regular suit; he has certain modes to his suit. That's right. It doesn't just go regular Blue Beetle suit. There's apparently a beast mode where he gets stronger. Like he can get incredibly steroid out strong. There's the strength mode, and then there's speed mode where he can go supersonic speed faster than the speed of light. Like the guy has so many different modes that he can just adjust to immediately during a fight and put the advantage against Doc Ock in that way. So, and also again, even if Doc Ock is impressively intelligent, again, Hyman doesn't need to be intelligent. The Scarab will do him all that favor. It gives him the power, the strength. It gives him the intelligence he needs in order to face off against an opponent like Dr. Octavius. So like I said, Doc Ock is impressive, but you got Blue Beetle who has different types of modes that can give him the upper hand. One mode he can turn into super strong and then just rip the arms apart. Another mode is he can go super fast and maybe detach the arms from Doc Ock. Another thing is maybe he can actually... The Scarab itself can do surgical procedure and probably remove the arms during the fight against Doc Ock and remove from his body part because the Scarab is that intellectually capable of doing such a thing. There's so many feats where the Scarab has way more of a even up an advantage. They have a blast, they have shields. Even if Doc Ock comes, there's a shielding for protection. There's the weapons to shoot back at him. There's the counter maneuver procedures. There are things that get that are like wristbands to get him caught up, like handcuffs on his arms. There's so many ways. He can probably even use the AI to override the arms themselves. So either way, I gotta say Blue Beetle has this one in the bag. So there you go. He wins and defeats all 6 of the Sinister Six in this fight.
All right. My team today is none other than the Sinister Six. Gonna do a brief origin on them. Now, Octavius starts by escaping prison, using his mental connection to his 6 robotic arms. And then he calls 5 other villains for a meeting who also happen to hate Spider-Man. Doc waits until they arrive to explain his foolproof plan, and then he tells them that they will get the chance to fight Spider-Man one-on-one. However, their strategy for this was to lure him into an area that favored them rather than Spider-Man. Doc waits. Like I said, he gives the plan. Doc Ock's whole, strategy with this was with each individual fight, each fight would happen to weaken Spider-Man. So by the time he did get to the last opponent, which would happen to be Doc Ock, he would be too weak to do so. I believe he either used Mary Jane or Aunt May for bait. She was in an undisclosed location, and each member of the Sinister Six had a different clue to where she was being held. So as Spider-Man advanced and through the members of the Sinister Six, he got another clue and another clue until eventually he found himself with Doc Ock. Long story short, Spider-Man beat them all. He got his aunt or his girlfriend back, whichever one was being held captive, and they all went into the same jail cell. And they all vowed to never let this happen again. And yeah, that is the brief origin of the Sinister Six. Now, the strategy with this fight going in against Blue Beetle, Mysterio would use his illusion tech to, create illusions and distractions for Jaime without being seen. Sandman can, like I said, like he's mentioned before, he can turn his body giant, and he can also make his fist big, which would, be a bigger impact for Jaime and possibly do more damage to his armor. Vulture's whole strategy would be to drop heavy objects from the sky and or just go in for a diving attack with his claws to, again, try to damage Jaime's armor. Kraven would probably keep a watchful eye from afar, try to learn as much as he can about Jaime and the Scarab and his abilities and his weakness. However, once he gets close, he would use vibranium and adamantium weapons to damage the armor and or Jaime. One thing he could use would probably be like throwing knives or hatchets or spears from afar to try to get in close. Electro would just give numerous electric blasts from afar as a distraction to keep Jaime off of his teammates. Doc Ock, while instructing the team, would use his mechanical arms as a distraction for Jaime, and possibly even trying to. A lot of people don't realize that those arms, they're actually quite strong. So if Doc Ock gets a good grip on Jaime, he could possibly tear a piece of it off. The armor is strong, however, once it does reach its limits, it can be damaged. And once it's damaged, Jaime is going to have a vulnerability, and he's going to have a weak spot. I see Mysterio obviously being eliminated probably first due to the fact that Jaime's technology in his suit is far superior to what anything Mysterio possesses. Mysterio would, and like he's mentioned, he is human, so he would be possibly eliminated first. Sandman, if he's able to learn about his ability to transform and manipulate his own size, he could possibly use the suit to create a strong form of heat, which would possibly, would really hurt Sandman, if not destroy him. As he's mentioned before, Vulture does not possess enough technology or skill to really do much to Jaime, so Vulture's gonna get eliminated as well. Vulture, Sandman, Mysterio. Jaime just possesses too strong and too smart. That Scarab is wicked smart, so it's able to instruct him on the fly right then and there. So with that being said, those three would probably go down. The last three, however, which would be Electro, Kraven, and Doc Ock, would probably take the fight. With Kraven's skill in hand-to-hand combat, and especially if he has vibranium and adamantium weapons, one-on-one with Jaime probably wouldn't end too well for Kraven. However, with Electro and Doc Ock distracting him from two opposite ends, yes, the electric blast probably would not be enough to damage Jaime. However, if they're being served as severely a distraction only, and then Craven comes in on another side and Doc Ock comes in on another side, it is going to be too much. Jaime is going to get overwhelmed. The armor is going to be damaged, and the Scarab's not going to be able to heal him at that point. Craven's going to come in for the kill, and he's going to hit him with a big spear, and that's it. The last remaining of the Sinister Six, which would be the Terrible Three now, they would walk away with the win. And that's how I see this happening.
Okay. As always, no press fam, it is not up to me. It's not up to my boy here. It's up to you guys. So, if you guys like my argument, you know what you could do? You can hashtag the blue Beetle. And if you like my boy's argument, what can you do, brother?
Hashtag the Sinister Six.
All right, no press fam. As always, we really appreciate you guys. Get you guys later. Peace.